I'm pushing P, that's my favorite alphabet. She let me do as I please, I'm an alpha male. When your lawyer paid off, you don't have to tell. When you pay your own bills, you don't have to tell. I'm pushing P, that's my favorite alphabet. She let me do as I please, I'm an alpha male. When your lawyer paid off, you don't have to tell. When you pay your own bills, you don't have to care. If their noses ain't broke, then they gotta smell. We just got a fresh load, it's a lot in here. That boy on his third strike, get him out of there. Strike, get him out of there. Strike, get him out of there. 25 down for a jack. Wearing once, niggas ain't like to get active. No, they don't. She ain't tryna let me get cracked. Going on, fast cars cutting up traffic. On one of those, we ain't nothing like these other rappers. Weirdo, you be tryna say what she get active. Hero, me and Gunna going back to back. And here it goes. The business, no wouldas or couldas. Straight to the back, yeah, we straight. Can still take you one day.
Yo guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video, you know, we pushing P, we going straight in.
You must be pushing P.
We're gonna go over the Lil Baby preset quickly. And also, I've made this preset available to download online. So check the links for the description. You'll be able to download this preset for both Waves and FL Studio stock plugins. So if you have Waves plugins or you only have FL Studio, you'll be able to achieve this preset. But for this video, I'm gonna go through the Waves preset. So as usual, we've got the lead vocals chained into the vocal bus, chained into the master. So obviously, if you've got vocal dubs and ad-libs, you can add that in as well. But for this sample that I recorded, I've only got lead vocals. So what I'm going to do is start off with the lead vocals. First thing is your vocal pitching. So auto-tune or waves tune, whichever one you prefer, they're pretty similar. So right now I've got auto-tune on. So first of all, you want to find the key for your song. The key for this song is F minor. If you don't know how to find the key to a song, you can use an online tool, upload the instrumental, will give you the key, or you can download software that will give you the key to a song. Next thing is your retune speed and your humanize. These are the settings I came to for the Lil Baby effect. And obviously for me, my input type is low mil. So if you were using Waves Tune, which is part of the preset, it would be these settings here, put my speed to 0.1, then my note transition to 3, and the same thing here, F minor for the key. So that's it for the lead vocal track. Next into the vocal bus, first thing is the EQ. So what I've got here is a surgical EQ. So all I'm doing is, if I play through the song.
I'm pushing P, that's my favorite alphabet. She let me do as I please, I'm an
You hear those high frequencies. I'm just boosting the gain on certain frequencies. I'm sweeping through till I hear those unwanted frequencies and I'm just taking them out. So if I do that again.
I'm pushing P, that's my favorite alphabet. She let me.
About there, you can hear that frequency. You don't want that frequency in the vocals, so I just reduce the gain on that. And I've done that a couple times. And I've got a high pass here, just taking out the low end, rumble. So as usual, I'll go through what each plugin does to the vocals. So this is what it sounds like with just the auto-tune and the EQ on.
I'm pushing P, that's my favorite alphabet. She let me do as I please, I'm an alpha male.
And just for comparison, I'll turn the EQ off quickly. You'll be able to hear that the vocals will sound a lot muddier.
I'm pushing P, that's my favorite alphabet. She let me do as I please.
So you can hear that the EQing is cleaning up the vocals a lot. So the next thing I've got is my studio rack here. And the first thing is the NS1 noise suppressor. What this does is it just takes out unwanted noise, like it's the sound of a fan in the background while you were recording. It takes all that noise out. So this is my settings for that. And this is what it sounds like. Turn everything else off.
I'm pushing P, that's my favorite alphabet. She let me do as I please, I'm an alpha male.
Next thing is vocal rider. What this does is that if I sing too high, too loudly, or too softly, it will balance everything out. That's pretty much what this plugin does. So this is what it sounds like with the vocal rider added on.
I'm pushing P, that's my favorite alphabet. She let me do as I please, I'm an alpha male.
Next plugin is the R compressor. So the three main things here is the threshold, the ratio, and the gain. So my threshold, that's like how much of the signal is getting compressed. So I've put it to -27 decibels. Next up, the ratio, that's like how hard or soft you're compressing the signal. So I've got mine to 7 here. and then put my makeup gain to 12 here. I've got a high attack here as well. So these are my settings, and this is what it sounds like with the R compressor added on.
I'm pushing P, that's my favorite alphabet. She let me do as I please, I'm an alpha male. When you
Next up is the SSL E-channel plugin. This plugin is a EQ and it's a compressor in one. So what you want to look at is this button here. If it's selected, that means it's gonna EQ first, then compress. If it's not selected, then it's gonna compress, then EQ. I prefer it to EQ, then compress. So I select that here, and then these are my settings for this plugin here. And what this plugin does, it brightens the vocals a little bit. So you can hear what that sounds like now.
I'm pushing P, that's my favorite alphabet. She let me do as I please, I'm an alpha male. When
So you can hear that. It also gives the vocals a little bit of analog grit as well. And that's what that plugin does. Next plugin, Vitamin by Waves. This plugin just boosts the signal in bands. As you can see here, the signal split into bands, and you can boost certain frequencies. This plugin is very good for brightening the vocals. I'd recommend any mix you're doing to include this plugin. It brightens the vocals a lot. So these are my settings for this plugin, and this is what it sounds like with the Vitamin plugin added on.
I'm pushing P, that's my favorite alphabet. She let me do as I please, I'm an alpha male.
So you can hear the difference already. It brightens the vocals a lot. So the next plugin, the C4 multi-band compressor. What this does is that it splits the signal into bands and then compresses them separately. So you can see here, I've reduced the low end a bit and boosted the high end just a little bit. And these are my settings for this plugin, and this is what it sounds like.
I'm pushing P, that's my favorite alphabet. She let me do as I please, I'm an alpha male. When you
So that's that for the C4 multi-band compressor. Next plugin is the de-esser. What this does is it just takes out the harsh S sounds and the sibilants from your vocals while you're recording, especially if you didn't record with a pop filter. The mic will pick up those harsh S sounds, so this just takes out those harsh sibilances from the vocal. Got the threshold to -25 here, and this is what it sounds like.
I'm pushing P, that's my favorite alphabet. She let me do as I please, I'm an alpha male.
Lastly, for this studio rack is this CLA 76 plugin. It's a compressor, and I just use it to like glue everything I've done so far. So it just holds the vocals together, all the effects together. And these are my settings for that, and this is what it sounds like.
I'm pushing P, that's my favorite alphabet. She let me do as I please, I'm an alpha male.
So you can hear it just compresses everything, just squashes it a bit, and brings everything together. So the next thing on my second studio rack is the doubler. What this does, I just use it to thicken the vocals a little bit. You'll barely be able to hear the double effect because I turned the gain down so low. So the gain is on -30 for both of the doubles. It's just to thicken the vocals a little bit. You'll barely be able to hear the effects, but it spreads the vocals out just a bit. So this is what it sounds like with the doubler on.
I'm pushing P, that's my favorite alphabet. She let me do as I please, I'm an alpha male. When you
Next up is the reverb, reverb plugin. So what I'm doing here is I'm just taking out a little bit of the low end, so the low end won't reverb as much as the mid or the high. And then the other main thing here is the wet dry knob here, slider here, and I set it to 3. And my reverb type is Hall 1. So that's it for my reverb, and this is what it sounds like with the reverb added on.
I'm pushing P, that's my favorite alphabet. She let me do as I please, I'm an alpha male.
So you can hear that, just adding a bit of width to the vocals as well. And then next I got the H delay here, just adding a tiny bit of delay. Nothing much, you can barely hear it. As you can see, the dry wet is to 1, just adding a bit of delay. And these are my settings for the delay. So this is what it sounds like with the delay plugin added on.
I'm pushing P, that's my favorite alphabet. She let me do as I please, I'm an alpha male. When you
So that's it for the main bit of the plugins. And obviously I've got the L1 limiter here. What I use this for is to just set my vocals to a certain volume. So right now I'm setting it to -7 decibels, because usually I'll have my instrumental at -6, so I don't want my vocals to be louder than my instrumental. So if I have the instrumental at -6, I'll just set the vocals to -7, and I've got the threshold to -14 here, and that's been on for this whole thing, so you've already heard that. So from the vocal bus, it's chained into the master. And on the master channel, I've got the SSL comp plug-in first as a compressor, and I'm just using the mastering preset. So if we click load here and click mastering, I'm just using it to squash the instrumental and the vocals together so it sits right, so it sounds proper. So that's what that's doing. And then lastly, the Ozone 9 plugin, which I use for mastering, and I'll use the master assistant. What I usually do is click master assistant and select either modern or vintage sound. I usually go for modern sound, and I'll select low here because it sets the target loudness to -14 lufs, which is about the target for streaming platforms, and then here destination to streaming. So then I'll click next, and when you play the song, it'll analyze everything.
I'm pushing P, that's my favorite alphabet. She let me do as I please, I'm a alpha male. When your lawyer paid off, you don't have to tell. When you pay your own bills, you don't have to care. If their noses ain't broke, then they gotta smell. We just got a fresh load, it's a lot in here. That boy on his third strike, get him out of there. Strike, get him out of there. Strike, get him out of there. 25 down for a jack. Wearing once, niggas ain't like to get active. No, you don't. She ain't tryna let me get cracked. Going on, fast cars cutting up traffic. On one of those, we ain't nothing like these other rappers. Weirdo, you be tryna say what she get active. Hero, me and Gunna going back to back.
So you can see it did its thing, and now you can see the plugins it used to master the track. So what it thought was best. So it's got an EQ here, taking out low and boosting high in here. So another dynamic EQ here, taking out these certain frequencies here, and then the maximizer here, just capping the song at -1 decibels, it looks like, to make sure that it doesn't over peak. So with the waves preset, if you get the waves preset, it's not going to have the Ozone 9 plugin in the preset. It's going to have the L1 limiter to master. And what I usually do is I'll just use the mastering preset again, and that sets the ceiling to -0.2 decibels and the threshold to 6. And then that'll just master your track and make sure that your track doesn't peak over 0 decibels. So that's it for this preset. Again, I've put the links in the description. You can download this preset now, FL Studio or for Waves, and I've also included these sample vocals in here. So if you don't have your own vocals, or if you don't want to, if you're just a mix engineer, you can practice with these vocals. Make sure to let me know in the comments what other artists you want me to make presets for, and check out the playlist on screen now.